so we're right here in the final part of this sexual terrorism that was unleashed on our ancestors during slavery. By the white gays from Britain, who have our ancestors on the plantation back in Jamaica. So I've been saying that Jamaica is the most homophobic island in the world or country. So the reason why we are doing this at this channel is to dispel all those lies, you understand? Because you have to understand, the way that the homosexuals back then treated our ancestors. It wasn't any consensual relationship, it was rape, butt cracking stuff, and they use it as a means to terrorize the black man, you understand? So that the strongest black man who was on the plantation would resist and show that, like he have the fighting spirit with him. They would do that because once you do that in umbilical the black man, you know that nobody have no respect for him, because once you understand, because that is a secret part of your body, your rectum. So when somebody butter it and it's dripping and all kind of stuff, that even his wife is gonna lose respect for him. So even when a pregnant woman stand there and watching all this traumatic event evolving right in front of your eyes, the same pregnant woman, that what they're witnessing is carrying on onto the umbilical cord of the baby, So that is why it is embedded in Jamaican, you understand? That's why Jamaicans are not receptive towards this kind of lifestyle. A lot of gays in Jamaica, but Jamaican people do not kill them. It's the gay lovers that kill them. You understand? Because if Jamaicans were killing gays, trust me, those who knew Kingston, they would not be there, because the same gunmen, they will go there and kill them. But guess what? Most of our criminals and dons in Jamaica, most of them, they are gays. Most of them. So it's LGBTQ plus month, so we're going to highlight and show you that Jamaica is not a homophobic country. You understand? I'm going to show you some prominent dons in Jamaica, killers who are affiliated, rub shoulder with some big neck who are gays in Jamaica. You understand? Some of them are in prison right now, and nobody not doing them anything, so I don't know where this thing come from. So check it out, you understand? One love.
In the still of night, they were like voices from hell itself.
Fonthill's impatience pressures Wyatt to take shortcuts. The building rises swiftly above foundations that are insufficient for the final design. The revolutionary cement render washes off in the rain, and Wyatt is distracted by other projects at Salisbury Cathedral and Wilton House.
I have had nothing for 3 weeks. It's impossible to finish anything.
To finance the Abbey, Fonthill begins selling off some assets. At the same time, his ancestors' sharp practices in Jamaica come back to haunt him.
He became the victim of a series of lawsuits. In 1 year alone, they cost him £40,000. Despite this, he continued to build and furnish the Abbey, buying paintings by Raphael,
Poussin, Rembrandt, Dürer,
Holbein, Rubens,
Canaletto, and of course Leonardo.
The more Fonthill overstretches himself, the more desperately he builds. Like the planters trying to shore up slavery, Fonthill shores up his monstrous tower. When funds are tight, he turns to Thomas Wildman for help.
Beckford was so concerned with building the Abbey at the greatest possible speed that he paid little or no attention to his own finances. He borrowed from me continuously, and so never noticed that I lent him his own money and charged him the interest.
And there's more bad news for the Beckfords.
We have hurricane in the West Indies, which can ruin a crop very quickly, and in doing so ruin a planter.
For several seasons, the island is hit by terrible storms, the last thing Summerlee needs.
The wind from the south was as if all the winds of the world were blown through a single tube. The devastation we experienced was incomparable.
The hurricane sweeps away slave huts. Flattens crops and tosses ships onto the land. Without a crop, Summerlee cannot keep up his interest payments and will lose everything. As the slaves bury their dead, he mourns his own dreams of prosperity.
The wind has swept relentlessly through the plantation, and a single blast reduced me to ruin.
The scale of the disaster reverberates throughout Britain. Even Fonthill, with his superior wealth, has to take notice. The Abbey is hemorrhaging money, and his income is plummeting.
My sugar affairs grow worse every day, and I have to use much caution not to become a total bankrupt. This is killing me. To lose my properties with no benefit. I receive no income now from Jamaica at all, and I have 1,000 debts to pay.
Fonthill sinks further into Wildman's power.
Beckford was heavily in my debt, to the tune of £86,000. In return, I insisted on the use of his parliamentary seat, or said I would foreclose on his mortgages and plantations, and reduce or even stop his monthly allowance. So, that's how I became MP for Hindon.
The sugar bubble has burst, leaving Jamaica reeling. Until it recovers, the only winners are the creditors.
In 13 years in Jamaica, I never knew a property to be redeemed once it had fallen into the possession of the mortgage company, even if the property was large, and the debt trifling.
Summerlee returns to England, leaving a trail of debt. He brings with him rumours about the Wildman's dubious activities.
I suspect that we're closely watched. Once, when my brother James came over to England on business, he dined at a house where Beckford's cousin, Summerlee, was staying. James was alarmed to hear Summerlee repeating rumours he'd heard in Jamaica, claiming that if James continued as manager, our family would soon own all of Beckford's property. It may not be so far from the truth.
Unable to pay his debts, Summerlee is arrested and detained in prison, where he'll spend 4 years.
Having left a country in which slavery is established by law, I come to one in which one may be imprisoned, unheard, and untried. I find that a man, although born to freedom, may become a slave.
He appeals to his cousin, Fonthill.
One year, Beckford received a letter from his cousin Summerlee from the Fleet Prison in London. It told how he had been unjustly imprisoned for some trivial debt. For the sake of family honour, Beckford sent him £500 to settle with his most impatient creditors.
It's while in prison that Summerlee writes an account of his years as a plantation owner, earning himself the nickname of the planter historian. Fonthill too is enslaved by debts, but it's only after the sudden death of Thomas Wildman that he finds out how serious his situation is.
Between this harpy and his two brothers, half my substance has been devoured.
Fonthill is forced to give the Wildman family all but 2 of his remaining estates.
I've known Thomas Wildman since I was a child, and I've always felt a strong sense of gratitude towards him for the fatherly affection that he showed towards me, and the brilliant way in which he dealt with my affairs. So you can imagine how betrayed I feel.
In desperation, Fonthill sells off many of his other assets so that he can finish the abbey once and for all.
Oh, I am beginning to curse this abbey. After a month, I hope to be free from this cancer. It's destroying me.
Finally, in 1822, Fonthill Abbey is complete. Britain's first major Gothic building since the Reformation dominates the Wiltshire landscape. Despite the public excitement it generates, no one dares to visit its scandalous owner, and few are invited. Fonthill rattles around his drafty mausoleum, attended by a few staff and a dwarf called Piero. One rare visitor is Sir Richard Hoare from the neighbouring estate at Stour Head. He's given permission to describe the abbey for his history of Wiltshire.
Good morning, Sir Richard.
That he calls when he thinks the controversial owner is away. His guide is Piero, who's employed to make the abbey look even bigger.
The dining room. Sir Richard, welcome to the Abbey.
Sir Richard, though, pays for his day at Fonthill. He's castigated by society for talking to such a man. In keeping with the times, it's Fonthill's homosexuality, not his ownership of slaves, that causes offence, even years after the scandal.
Oh, I don't give a farthing about the buzz of gossip. The slander in the world's newspapers? Well, it amuses me rather than alarms me. And I toss libelous letters from unknown correspondents into the fire, unopened.
Fonthill has other worries these days. After 18 years' work on the abbey, he must sell it to avoid bankruptcy. The rule of the Sultan of Fonthill is at an end. The Beckfords rose from nowhere and made a fortune on the back of their slaves. But their notorious story came to an end, and the dynasty burned out in spectacular style. All that was left was the abbey. But this monument to human suffering and Beckford pride was built on unsupportable foundations.
So now that you have listened and understand the history when it comes on to Jamaicans not liking gays, it is because of what they have done to our ancestors. It's called butt cracking. Where they rape the men. The strong black men that they think who are a threat to their slave agenda of enslaving the black people and having them on the plantation, working for free and, using all kind of various terroristic tactics to get compliance. So it was nothing that they did to the black people then, our ancestors. It was consensual. And to this day, black people have received no form of compensation or reparation for what they have done to our ancestors. I am my ancestor and my ancestors are me. I cannot take that away. You understand? Irrespective of European bloods that flow through my vein. You understand what I'm saying? You know, it's the same pain and trauma psychologically that they have been through, that have been imparted to our people. You understand? So when they're talking about Jamaica is homophobic, now you know why, because it's genetic. In Jamaica, where I'm from, Jamaican people do not kill gays. It's gays that kills each other. And you understand? And most of these murders that happen, they are unsolved. Reason being, it seems like these people have immunity from prosecution. You understand? Police do not arrest them when they kill each other for some reason or the other. I don't know why. And even when it is known who the killer is, nothing has been done about it. So it's time for you people to stop spread all these lies about Jamaica and Jamaican people. I hope you have learned something from this. I know most people do not. It's 5 seconds and that's it. You know, like Goldfish. But those who stick through the entire series and tune in, yeah man, thanks for tuning in. Education is paramount, so you can impart it to your children. Because even from slavery, things that happen in slavery, I had a grandfather who had his grandfather who had experienced some time ago with slavery, so he was able to impart something to him. So that's what, you know, you have to do that. You understand what I'm saying? To keep what happened in the past alive with your offspring, and it continues. So thanks for watching the Jamaica Young Police channel. Remember to like, share the video, click on the bell will serve you well, and most of all, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so, it's free now. You don't have to pay. There's no subscription fee. It's free. One love. All the best to you and your family. I hope you enjoy the lesson today, because this is history, you know, brethren and sisters. Peace.